Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video. Now this one's a special one, and that's mostly because I dedicate most of my time in this channel about teaching you guys tips, showing you guys how you can get better in Fall Guys. But the real question is, how can you group that into one concept? Right? What is it that makes a difference from a Fall Guys pro and every other player, right? And one thing I noticed is that it falls into three categories. There's the understanding of the map, the game sense, and that's something you only get by playing the game over and over again. And then there's really understanding two mechanics, the jumping, diving, and grabbing. Now, everyone has their way of playing Fall Guys, everyone has their strategy, but when you look at a speedrun, that person that makes it first to the finish line, he ends up finding crazy ways to cancel his jump and time it so perfectly that he doesn't waste any time and makes it to the finish line as soon as possible. And then you start to ask yourself, why can't I do that? But I'm here to tell you that maybe you can. That being said, most of the people that end up doing these crazy speedruns, they have such a good understanding of the map that they're speedrunning that they end up calculating every second and every move. But that's not the goal of this video. The goal here is to understand that there are specific concepts you can follow to win in every round, regardless if it's a survival, race, or a hunt. And these are mechanics that you can follow to win every type. Starting off with our first concept, right? And that's understanding the map, understanding where you're playing, understanding where you need to go. And that's, I'd say, the basic requirement that you need to do really good in Fall Guys. And so I made a video about 100 tips you can follow in Fall Guys that will give you quite the understanding of some of the maps and quite the understanding of some of the tricks you can do to qualify in those maps, right? But that's just the start of it, because the more tips I try to push out there, the more I'm trying to help you guys realize that there's things that I didn't even know I could do, but I found it out and I wanted to share it to you guys.
Make sure that you
but there isn't much more I can say here, because this just comes with time and experience, right? The more you play Fall Guys, the more you're going to understand the maps, the more you understand the maps, the better your chances at winning it. And as long as you're enjoying the game, you'll keep playing it and you'll keep getting better in this sense.
And I gotta be really patient.
Now, one of the other points I mentioned in the start is grabbing, right? There's jumping and diving, but let's leave that to the end, because that, in my opinion, is probably the most crucial one. And if you really nail how to jump and dive and really be where you need to be, that's going to be the number one point that's going to help you win more games and make it to where you want to be. But when it comes to grabbing, you need to understand that there's a lot of control that you can have on the people around you. And I know the first thing that comes to mind is probably rounds like Jump Showdown, where if there's a rotating beam that's going so fast, you can grab someone as soon as they jump, pull them to the ground, jump yourself, and they just end up getting thrown off. Now, this could seem to some people like it's toxic, but in the end of the day, it's part of the game, and it's a strategy that could help you win, right? The main thing I can say here that's going to help you guys improve when it comes to grabbing, if you do have trouble doing it and you notice that every time you do it doesn't work out, is that you don't need to wait for the animation to come out. If you are standing in someone and you just tap the grab button, the effect comes on sooner than the animation. And so what you can do is just tap grab. You'll notice that you can deny that person jumping. But obviously this comes with understanding when the person's going to jump. And so if you have a rotating beam or some object is coming towards you and you expect the person to jump like a log, you can grab them in the last second that you see it's possible for them to jump. And that way they'll get dragged off and you'll have one less person to worry about, and that will take you one closer step to that crown that you want to get. And this is something that takes time to get good at, so don't feel annoyed if you keep trying and it ends up backfiring and you end up being the one that falls off. So like I said, this does come with practice, and the more time you try it, the better you'll get at it. And that brings me to my last point, right? Jumping and diving, and how crucial those two things are to getting better at Fall Guys. There are crazy mechanics that are very challenging, like that spin dive that people use to go a little faster than otherwise, but those are things that you don't really need unless you want to be the best in the world, and I don't think that that's the aim of this video at the end of the day. The aim of this video is to get as many crowns as you can, and the reality of the matter is you're almost never going to be matched up against someone that does spin dives. At least I haven't myself. When it comes to talking about these mechanics, obviously they can be used in different maps. So let's say I bring up Hexagon, right? And in that map, a jump and dive could be used to stall and buy you time, so you can last on a fixed number of tiles as long as possible to get that win. And so they could be used to stall, but at the same time they could also be used to cover distance. Like let's talk about Big Fans, right? That's a map where you're gonna have to jump from one platform to another without falling in the gap, and jumping and diving at the last second will help you cover a lot more distance than you thought you could. And there's hundreds of other examples I can bring up, right? Hoopsie Legends being one of them, where you can reach a hoop that you never thought you could because of a dive that you timed perfectly. But the one thing we all know comes to mind is those crazy speedruns where you see a person jump off a lily pad, dive instantly to cancel that momentum that's going upwards to go to another lily pad. And one thing I'll admit is playing on a device that has delay does handicap you and does make it very challenging to achieve that. Me myself, I play on a high hertz monitor and very low delay. But if you're playing on a Switch, for example, which I do own and I have tried to use, it's almost impossible for me to do those tricks where I cancel that momentum and go to the next lily pad quickly. And so you're gonna have to understand the limitations you have because of the hardware that you use. And if you don't feel like you're limited, then that's perfect. But if you do feel like you're limited, you might have to account for those delays and jump before you think you need to. And so it's about getting used to the hardware that you use, and in the end of the day, if you get used to what you use, you'll get much better at it and you'll get much more crowns than you thought you could. But the point I really want to get to is that we see these crazy plays, but we never try them because we feel like we're gonna fail. You know, you start doing really well in lily pads, for example, you make it through half the race and you're first and you don't want to throw it away. The point is that you want to make sure that you try these tactics that you can improve over time, and this will help you get better at the game overall. And that is trying new things. And in this sense, if you hit a lily pad, you want to try diving right away after it to understand how it feels to cancel that momentum and go as fast as you can, instead of aiming for the win. And honestly, I've seen so many people use jumping and diving in different ways to get that crown. And if you specifically have an idea of a way other people can benefit from it, leave it down in the comments below. I would love to see your guys' tips and ideas you can kind of bounce off each other and share. Because at the end of the day, we're all trying to get better at this game. And the whole idea of this channel that I made was to give you guys tips and share my experience with Fall Guys and my journey to getting as many crowns as possible. So if you guys did enjoy this, I'd really appreciate it if you left a like down below and leave a comment about your thoughts. At the end of the day, I'd like to hear what you think. And if you want me to go in depth into any of these concepts that I have mentioned, let me know and I'll make a video specifically for it. But like always, thanks again for watching and I'll catch you guys in the next one.